The beauty of the seven deadly sins truly lies in its characters, and one thing that I particularly like is that even though each member of the seven deadly sins has a designated sin, their actions are not restricted by their sin, and often actually completely contradict it, allowing them to develop and not be completely predictable. Now with their designated sin not being completely clear, this brought upon a lot of questions in my comment section, people wondering how Melilus can be the sin of wrath when he's the most chill character ever, or how Merlin can be the sin of gluttony when she clearly does not eat in excess. So today I will be explaining how every member of the seven deadly sins represents their corresponding sin. But before I begin, I want to give a quick shout out to Icy Tom for making the thumbnail for this video, and a super dope law thumbnail for one of my upcoming vids. A link to his graphic design website will be in the description below, as well as a link to his YouTube channel, IcyColdXP, and Twitter. Be sure to show him some love. But without any more delay, let's start off with the captain of the seven deadly sins, Melilus, the dragon's sin of wrath. Wrath can be defined as an uncontrolled feeling of anger, rage, and even hatred. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can't see how Melilus can be the sin of wrath when he is usually such a calm, chill guy that really doesn't take anything too seriously, even when he's in the middle of battle. One specific time that he shows the sin of wrath is when Liz, his former love, was killed in front of him, and after seeing Liz die, Melilus' rage causes immense power to go out of control, completely destroying the kingdom of Danafor. Merlin actually ended up having to steal most of Melilus' power away because when enraged, could not control it. And my personal thoughts are that he acts the way he does as a defense mechanism so that he doesn't lose control of his rage and immense power. As we know, Melilus is a demon and the former leader of the Ten Commandments, and was known to be ruthless and evil during that time. If you're a fan of the manga, you would know that he was supposed to cut off all emotions in order to get his power back, because they simply could not trust him with his immense power, knowing he loses control when angry. And through reducing his emotions, has had multiple inner battles with his dark side. Even though he doesn't always display it, Melilus is without a doubt the sin of wrath. Next up on the list is Bon, the fox's sin of greed. As the only survivor of the Fairy King's forest, he took the blame and was wrongfully convicted for the destroying of the forest and killing its guardian Saint Elaine. As a result, he was sentenced to death and became known as the sin of greed due to his apparent greed for immortality. Even though he was wrongfully convicted, I could easily say that Bon has many greedful tendencies, and an overall selfish desire. He was a thief stealing from others, and did initially intend on stealing his immortality from the Fountain of Youth. And just in general, from being willing to do anything to revive Elaine or wanting immortality, a lot of his actions do seem to collide with the sin of greed. But like all of the other characters, Bon is known to contradict his sin, as in the manga, he has acted in many selfless ways. Next up on the list is Merlin, the boar's sin of gluttony. Most definitions of gluttony specifically deal with eating in excess, but in general the most accurate definition is the overindulgence and overconsumption of anything to the point of waste. And Merlin is absolutely obsessed with information and knowledge and will do anything in order to acquire more, and is constantly referring to other people as guinea pigs. So instead of the overconsumption of food, she is gluttonous through the overindulgence of information. And even though she doesn't have a specific example of her committing her sin and negatively affecting others like Melilus with the kingdom of Danafor, or Bon's wrongful conviction for the fairy forest, I think it is fair to say that she is the sin of gluttony through her need for information. Feel free to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Next up on the list is King, the grizzly's sin of sloth. Sloth can be defined as reluctance to work or make an effort, aka laziness. In King's past, he took on a sentence for ignoring Helbrum's mass murdering of humans continuously over a period of 500 years. This came close to sparking a war between humans and fairies. He was consequently sentenced to an imprisonment for 1,000 years, and was recognized as the sin of sloth as he ignored the atrocities committed and turned a blind eye. I'd say just that history alone is enough to prove that King's sloth, but he also ignored his duties as Fairy King and left it all to his sister. So I think we could easily say that King is without a doubt the sin of sloth. And next on the list is Gowther, the goat's sin of lust. And this one is not completely straightforward, so if you think I'm wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Lust is commonly defined as an intense sexual desire, but could also just be defined as an intense longing for something. And in this case, in my opinion, Gowther is lustful for emotions. Gowther is a doll, and is shown to be completely unaware of others' feelings, and has even shown an inability to understand the meaning of friendship. He often states things factually without realizing that what he says can upset people. Since Gowther doesn't understand emotions, he goes to great lengths to understand them better. For example, he often observes Melilus and Bon's friendship, and he is not beyond using his powers to experiment on others, as seen when he brainwashes Julia to fall in love with him. So in my opinion, Gowther has an intense longing to feel and understand emotion. He wants to be able to understand friendship and love, and a good example of this is that if he won the tournament where the prize was any wish, he was going to ask for a heart. So I think I could safely say that Gowther is lustful for emotions. And next on the list is Diane, the Serpent Sin of Envy, and she does often show these traits, especially in the beginning of the anime. From being jealous of the relationship Melilus has with Elizabeth, or even being envious of other girls' height, as she is very self-conscious of her own. I think it's pretty obvious that she is the Sin of Envy, but also in her past, she was labeled the Sin of Envy for her jealousy towards Matrona, who she supposedly murdered along with 330 innocent knights of the kingdom. She was sentenced to death by beheading, but Melilus stopped it under direct orders of the King of Leones. But yeah, she is without a doubt the Sin of Envy. And finally, Esken, the Lion Sin of Pride. And if you made it this far into the video, type the words "praise the sun" in the comments below to show you made it this far and to show some love for the video. And this one is also pretty straightforward, though in his nighttime form contradicts the Sin of Pride. Beginning with the rising of the sun at dawn, Esken begins to make a dramatic change, both physically and mentally. In this state, he is literally the pinnacle of pride. His normally skittish demeanor is replaced by one of confidence and a royal atmosphere. Here are some quotes to show you how prideful he is. "I am an existence unlike any other in this world. The Lion Sin of Pride, Lord Esken. Or apologize to me that you were born into my world." And specifically in his fight with Estarossa, where anyone who felt hatred towards Estarossa in any way lose all their strength before him. Of course it had no effect on Esken, and he says, "Of course it has no effect. I have no reason to feel hatred to those beneath me." And Estarossa even states that he is truly the Sin of Pride. And one of my personal favorites, when Estarossa uses full counter on Esken, reflecting his attack back at him, he says, "I see, that would explain how I felt pain just now, as expected of my own attacks." As you can see, during his daytime form, Esken is the definition of the Sin of Pride. And that is the end of this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to hit that like button to let me know. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, as there is much more 7 Deadly Sins content on the way. And just like that, I will see you guys all next time, dudes. Shin Paku.